Millions of people around us are looking for fulfillment in other stuff, building a career, making money, getting educated, finding that relationship. As Jesus followers, we want to share with them what God's done for us and the full life that Jesus offers us. But how do we do it? How do we start these conversations where we share our faith? We want people thinking about the purpose of their life. So we've designed some questions that focus on life now to get them thinking about this. These questions are designed to launch a conversation rather than a monologue. We want people thinking about their life, their level of satisfaction, and how God fits in the picture.
If you want to put it on a scale of 1 to 10, so I'd say an 8.
Guess a 6. Yeah.
Maybe an 8, 9?
Yeah, I'd say about 7 or 8.
8.
7.
I'd probably say on a 9.
About an 8.
Good friends, good family, and I get to travel a lot.
The fact that I'm happy, I'm healthy, I'm travelling.
Just being able to wake up in the morning and be content that you're alive.
Yep. These questions are a great way to start a conversation and get our friends talking about their lives. They also give us a great opportunity to share about the full life that God's given us through Jesus. And you know, your friend may even want to start following Jesus too.
Well, this isn't where I bought my last car. And unless I'm about to inherit a whole lot of money from an uncle I don't even know, it won't be where I buy my next one. But I want you to imagine you are here to buy a new car. A sweet red sports car. You've been saving for it for years, and today is the day. I also want you to imagine that you have a very rude next door neighbour. He's not rude in the sense that he's verbally abusive or anything like that. It's more that he's completely ignored you for the last 3 years. He just wants to live a separate life. So you did get the car, and from the day you brought it home, you've noticed a change in your neighbour. All of a sudden, when you drive past, he can't contain his enthusiasm to wave. Suddenly, he's calling you. Then one day, he turns up at the front door, and the first words out of his mouth after 3 years is, "Can I borrow your car for the weekend?"
I'd say no. Sorry, but no.
No, definitely not.
I won't give him the car because I don't know, he didn't deserve it.
I mean, if I was going to all that trouble to become friends with the guy, the least he could do is if you wanted to go in your car is to go with you or ask to go with you.
So if we ignore God our entire lives, why do we think he would act any differently if we turned up on his doorstep asking for a favour on Judgment Day? You see, most people, including some of our friends, will believe there is some sort of God, but they don't want to know him or follow him. Ignoring God in action and attitude means that relationship with God is impossible, and it stops us from having the full life that Jesus offers, and ultimately leads to death. This seems pretty harsh and full on, but there is more to the story, and this leads us to our next section where we start to see how God deals with our sin.
So how do we bear fruit as the Bible says we should? Fruit that lasts forever, not just a day. If we exist to glorify God, what's the best way we can do this? Sure, we can serve our community of Christians by using our gifts, but God calls us to do more than this. He asks us to be his disciples and to make more disciples from the people we meet. Now that's real fruit. And we don't have forever to do this, although the effects will be eternal. It's not a job for just a few of us. It's something that Jesus calls each of us to. In John 15, Jesus speaks with his disciples, and he reminds them that they are his friends, but they should also be about his business. He says, "We did not choose him, but he chose us and appointed us to go and bear fruit that will last for eternity." So who is Jesus asking to do this? All of us, me and you. He wants us to be faithful, available, and teachable. This This doesn't mean we have to all be ministers, but he does want us to be his disciples and to make others his disciples too. This means learning to follow without fear. Will you do that?
So many books have been written over the years debating the merits and pitfalls of being a Jesus follower. Scholars have studied and written and debated on all the issues, ranging from the authenticity of the Bible through to the engineering problems Noah faced when building his boat. And still, most of them disagree about loads of stuff. You could try and read a book about this every day for the rest of your life, and still, you wouldn't come close to having a grasp on all the issues you may face when sharing your faith. So, sharing Jesus isn't about having all the answers. Often, it's about connecting and listening before we begin to share. This guy called Peter once wrote in the Word, "Always be prepared to give an answer when people ask you about the hope that you have." So, sharing our faith is about being prepared to give an answer for the hope that we have in Jesus and the full life that he offers us. Maybe it would be helpful to remember 3 simple things. Firstly, we need to hear and understand our friend's question or concern or their existing beliefs. Stephen Covey put it pretty well when he said, "Seek first to understand, then to be understood." Secondly, if our friend has a question and we don't know the answer, we just need to be honest and say, "I don't know." But thirdly, if it's a serious question and maybe it's standing in the way of them wanting to know more about Jesus, offer to research and read up on the question at hand and promise to return to the conversation when you're more informed. Ultimately, understanding and connecting with our friends' concerns and existing beliefs, it's not about having all the answers. It's about developing trust so we can point our friend towards Jesus as the source of their life to the full.
My sister found travel terrifying at times because she had this fear of flying. She understood that the pilots were well trained and that the planes were essentially safe, but she just couldn't get past it. Then one day, after much reassurance from friends and family, she decided to face her fear. It wasn't an easy journey, it was a rough flight, but she made it to the end in one piece and decided that it was definitely worth it. She figured out that in the end, all she had to do was commit to getting on board the plane and trusting that the pilot would see her through to her destination. So why do you think it's difficult to take that step of faith and commit?
Trust issues, fear of being let down.
Not easy, of course, because you're on yourself and you have to trust people.
I know it's a bit of a hectic world, a lot of things get in the way. That's about it.
Getting our friends to commit to a relationship with Jesus isn't an easy journey, is it? People fear commitment for all sorts of reasons. Some because they don't understand it, and some because they think it's too restrictive. You've travelled through the 5 steps of sharing your faith with God's story, and now you feel it's time to ask them to commit and make a decision. But you know, for some people, it just doesn't make any sense. And in this case, we need to be patient and find out which of the 5 steps they find it difficult to understand. Well, my sister, she finally boarded the plane. She made a commitment because she trusted that the pilots were well trained. And as guides on another journey, we need to be prepared and able to lead people into relationship with God. We need to be ready and able to assure them of the full life that Jesus offers, remembering the great promise in John 6. "Truly I tell you that whoever believes in me has everlasting life."